around 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:05 this morning, stating that network control is having difficulty getting on zero. So I've been having difficulty all day. This is network control standing by to the 1000. Really fine. I was trying to call. Thank you so much for having my back when I was having problems. Thank you. Unit 5, this is network control. I read you 5 by 5. How do you read network control? Having my back when I was having
5 by 5. My present location is 122 Boulevard. My situation is known, okay?
The location is 122nd Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Frederick Douglass Boulevard, and the situation is normal. Did you hear the message of the day?
I did hear the message of the day. I did hear the message of the day.
Thank you so much. This is MCA, standing by to the 1000th hour.
This is Hint.
This is MCA, standing by to the 1000th hour. Hint 2, this is MCA. I read you 5 by 5. What is your location and your status? Over.
My location
This is ICO. I read you 5 by 5. What is your location and your status? Your location is Dyckman Street and 10th Avenue, and your status is safe. Network control is hoping that you are feeling better. Did you hear the message of the day? Over.
Please give it to me again. I missed part of it.
And 2, the message of the day will be repeated in less than 1 minute. Please stand by. This is NCO standing by to the 1000th hour.
Network control, this is CERN 1. Can I get permission to speak to HEN 2? Over.
CERN 1, you have permission to speak to HEN 2. Over.
HEN 2, this is CERN 1. Can I? Over.
I hear you loud and clear.
HEN 2, could you check your text message and respond to me? Over. This is CERN 1, standing by.
Will do.
Network control, CERN 1 turns control back over to network control.
Thank you, CERN 1. This is the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. This is the message of the day. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020, and the time is 0931 hours. The temperature at this time is 53 degrees with an expected high of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Today is cloudy and rainy. A reminder for our weekly conference call tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th at 2100 hours. Call the landline if you need the number. Our amateur radio class will be Wednesday, May 13th, 2020 from 1800 to 2000 hours. Please stand by for more information on the platform for that class. This is network control. The time is now 0932 hours, and network control is standing by. The message of the day will be repeated one more time at the 1000th hour. Standing by.
WEBT Unit 2 calling network control for a radio check. Come in, okay?
EBT, this is network control. I read you loud and clear, 5 by 5. How do you read network control? Over.
WEBT Unit 2 reads network control loud and clear, 5 by 5. Over.
EBT, what is your location and your status? Over.
WEBT Unit 2 location, New Rochelle, New York. My status safe and sound. Over.
EBT2, your location is New Rochelle, New York, and your status is safe and sound. WEBT2, did you hear the announcement, the message for today? Over.
WEBT Unit 2, I did not hear the announcement for today. Will it be repeated? Over.
That message will be repeated for the last time at 1000 hours. This is network control, standing by.
That's good copy. WEBT Unit 2.
After action report 51120. I forgot an F in action. So it's WEBT 8. I got it correct.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Orlando, good morning.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I was just coming back from Target, but how's it going?
I'm hanging in there, man.
Look around.
Still has his yellow key open so we can hear his conversation.
Yeah, just turn it down. Rolando, can you rotate? Can you rotate? We're looking at your aspect ratio is vertical rather than horizontal.
All right, then I got to do this.
Okay, that works.
And one calling for a radio check. Over.
So I just came back from Target. I went into the sports department to get some get a yoga mat. It seems like everybody is sold out. Most of the stuff is sold out. So a lot of people are home exercising, I assume.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I know. Yeah.
What was it like in the store? Were people wearing masks and gloves? And
oh yeah.
what was the density of
they wouldn't let you in the store unless you had a mask.
Okay. And how's the social distancing inside the store?
It was not bad. You know, everybody was pretty much, people didn't want to go down the same aisle as others. So that was pretty good.
And what's the location? Are you in Harlem?
I'm in the Bronx. I'm in the Bronx terminal.
Okay.
Shit.
I
Gotta get out of the car. Get this.
The voice that you're hearing is Stu and our mobile guy on the YouTube feed. So that's what that is. So that's coming from the studio. So if you come right over to the YouTube, you'll see Stu and Rolando's out driving in the street. So
Nobody's in there? The fuck? I can't even get out with this shit.
Wow.
Yeah, the ticket's not reading my car. Not even me.
Up and running over because I'm still unable to access it over.
They've been doing this shit. Every time I come here, I got the same problem.
Really?
Fuck.
Oh, that's WEBT After Action Report. May 11.
Can't get out.
5.11.20.
No attendant around anywhere?
Yeah, they're coming now. It's not reading my card.
It's still with
No.
in the garage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tell him to stop cursing so much. That's my job.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Yeah, man. Stop all that cursing, baby.
All right. All right. All right, thanks, man. Oh, I'm finally leaving.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Unit 10, this is network control. I've got it now.
We're doing our morning radio checks.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Hen 1 calling for a radio check. Over.
Hello, this is NCO. I read you loud and clear. Have you read NCO? Over.
NCO, I read you loud and clear. I'm glad you were able to get on Zello. Over.
Thank you so much, NCO. I appreciate the fact that you did get my information that I was having difficulty. NCO, can you tell me your location and your status? Over.
My location is 133rd and 7th. My status is normal. Over.
Your location is 133rd and 7th Avenue, and your status is normal. Did you hear the daily message? Over.
No, but I will wait till 1000 hours when you're going to give it once more. Over.
Thank you. This is NCO standing by.
No, but I will wait till.
This is NCO standing by.
Hey, Stu, the thing for the Facebook Live you gave me is not correct. I sent you an email. Hello, Stu?
I don't don't think he heard you.
Hey, Stu. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
He's muted. You should unmute him
Well,
if you can.
I don't know if he's muted.
Yeah, okay, I heard you.
Oh, he did hit me. Okay, great.
I did
Yeah,
hear you.
you have to check.
I'll take a look at it when I can.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Just wanted to let you. Sando.
Yeah,
All right, so where are you? Where are you now?
I'm a river and right by Yankee Stadium.
Oh, you still in the boogie? Where you headed out towards what, Queens or somewhere?
No, I had to go to Target and get some stuff. I mean, I'll swing around Harlem for a minute and then come back. I had to get some air in my tires, shit like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'd like to see you. What about 125?
125th Street? All right.
Yeah. By request from Bob. Oh, Bob's not on. Is he, Stuart?
No, I haven't seen Bob on the stream. I have heard him on the mobile network, but he hasn't on the stream yet.
Yeah, I heard him say he's coming in at 10. He said he'd be in at 10, Stu.
Okay.
Looks like he's on the Grand Concourse there, Stu.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at.
Okay. So Stu, you know we are over. I was gonna wait for Bob, but you know that the body count is over 77,000 and 35 million people unemployed. This is all over the last 6 weeks. And stock market in the month of April had the best month that it's had in 33 years.
Well, that's probably best month only because it had tanked so much just a month before, based on what was going on, and then recovered. But still, I think your point is, or at least I would draw from that, is that there's very little connectivity to the market and everyday people.
Correct, and the economy. I had a conversation. Me and Rolando was speaking last night, and we came to the conclusion that that while there's no depression in the stock market, there seems to be an economic depression among the regular people.
Without a doubt, you're looking at 30+ million people unemployed, 15% of the population
6 weeks.
unemployed. I mean, that's huge.
6 weeks. In 6 weeks. And
yeah, thank you.
I think they're trying to say that it's all about. I think they're trying to say that it's all about the market. I mean, it's all about the stuff being closed. But I think that it shows you how fragile the whole thing is. And you know who the bottom feeders are. The bottom feeders or the bottom workers are. And they're expendable. And I just think that the people who are complaining about getting back there, and I heard the reports this morning in South Korea, Germany, who have tried to open back up, have have spiked in infections.
Oh, is that right? I hadn't heard that.
We don't
Yeah.
have a protocol. Yeah, that was this morning. You heard that too, Rolando?
Yeah, I heard that too. I think China too. What is it? Shanghai, Seoul, Korea. It spiked back up there too. Yeah, I did hear that.
I forgot which city. You're right. One of the cities. Yeah, one of the cities did spike back
I think
up.
I know it was Seoul, Korea was one of them. Seoul, Korea was one of them.
Okay. Oh, right. South Korea. That's right. Because Korea.
All stations. This is the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. The message for the day is as follows. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. The time is 10:02 hours. The temperature at this time has gone down to 51 degrees, and we are expecting a high of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. It is cloudy, and we expect rain. A reminder for our weekly conference call tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Call the landline if you need the number. Our amateur radio calls will be Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, from 1800 to 2000 hours. Further information as to the platform that we will be using will be forthcoming. This is the end for the day. The time is now 10:03 hours, and this is network control standing by.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the After Action Network Commander giving the morning report as is always happens here at the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. But Stu, as we back to our conversation, it seems to me that they're going to have
units. This is network control. Harlem Information and Emergency Network is now going offline. This is the Mayor 1 signing offline at 10:04 hours. Which, the Mayor 1 out. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. So anyway, Stu, as I was saying, the notion that they're going to attempt to open things back up without any way of subsiding the infection seems to me a little bit reckless.
I would have to agree with you. First, I'd just like to welcome Bob Ponce from Harlem Emergency Information Network to the Streamcast. Good morning, Bob. Bob, are you there?
I'm having a problem, so I'm probably going to log back off and log back on.
Okay, yeah, your audio is intermittent. But yes, Doug, I would certainly agree with you about the recklessness of the decisions to open up, and I would go further and say that you know, the folks that are going to be on the front lines in many of these businesses talking about opening up are low-level folks, low-income folks, many of them, if not a predominant proportion, people of color, Black and Latino, in so many of the service industries that folks are looking to open up. And in my mind, I would at least say the administration. I can't speak for the local gubernatorial administrations. I think they're being influenced to a great degree by the federal administration. And in my mind, the federal administration doesn't give a darn about individual lives, particularly low-income Black and brown people, that they are much more concerned with economic numbers, economic production. And if we lost a good segment of the population, I don't think they would really care a whole lot. You know, you have many of the folks that are looking at this situation that are on the one hand talking about pandemic control, and on the other hand, they have been proponents of population control. So, you know, I don't want to get conspiratorial with my comments here, but I certainly think that, you know, the attitude is, well, if we lose, you know, 5% of the population, the country will still go on. And that the engine that keeps things going, the economic engine, is what's really important, more important than the human capital. And to me, that's a calculus that is clearly made.
Well, you forget about the conspiratorial part of it. If you ask me, you know, it's pretty clear that they are trying to get people to, you know, if you listen to him, the president and the rest of them, they've been saying, hey, we got to open the economy back. We can't keep it closed. Even if it wasn't no conspiratorial issues around that, or who they were targeting or they cared about, it seems to me that they don't care about anything, because they're saying, hey, we got to open no matter what. So, and they're doing that across the country, even in places where there aren't that many Black and brown people. I don't think they've even thought about, you know, who they're trying to hurt. I think they're more concerned about helping to keep the machine going. So, I mean, it's just my opinion. I think you could just look past who they're targeting and just look at what they're doing. And what they're doing, they're saying that we can back up, and they're trying to do that everywhere. So I think they're going after, you know, poor white people as well, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I would disagree with that. I think the overarching thing for me is that the collateral human damage is insignificant as compared with the economic restarting of the economy in the minds of the decision makers. What do you think about that, Bob?
Right. Well, I agree with you when you put in that last part, in the minds of those folks. But it's obviously short-sighted, because the fact is that if you don't solve, you know, if they had acted early enough to really prevent it from going widespread, it would be a different conversation. Once it gets widespread, you can't fully restart the economy until you really take it on. And so, we're going to continue to see, yes, it's just like 1918. They flattened the curve the first time, and then people came out, and then it came back even worse. So, the only reason we're in a slightly better situation is that we have more resources to actually test and confirm that it's coming back, and there's an opportunity to maybe stop it before it gets worse than it was. But if you don't use those tactics and techniques, then that's a waste of time too, and it just gets worse. So I look at New York. Obviously, we took the brunt of it, and as I did hear Doug earlier, the statistics that we're up to 77,000 dead, and out of that, maybe 22 of it is here in New York. So clearly we took a tremendous hit, but you can see that we actually did flatten the curve based on the numbers that we've seen. Over the last month, a month ago, we were in the thick of it, and maybe it was 1,000 to 1,500 people a day going to the hospital. Now we're down to, the last time I looked, we were under 100, and we've definitely been under the 200 mark, which was the benchmark that they set. They wanted us to be under 200 hospitalizations a day for at least a 10-day period. I think we've been under that for maybe 15 days. So the good news is that, we can see that, the drastic action took in New York did flatten the curve, but we also have to address that it didn't make the virus go away. It really just isolated it. And the criticism I have of New York, and it's a criticism that we at Harlem Emergency Network have been levying since early on, is that when they sent people to stay at home, they didn't give people anything to work with in terms of, while you're at home, how do you mitigate the effects of being at home with COVID-19? And so, there's the two things that we spent all of, March and April and going into May talking about, which was, basically, what are the protocols to try to basically quarantine inside the house? And then what are the protocols for boosting your immune system? And the other day, the numbers came out that 2/3 of the people who were hospitalized were people who were staying at home. So the fact is that exactly what we feared was going to happen, is that the numbers, the measures were correct in terms of shutting everything down, making everybody stay at home, because that cut the widespread of it. But it didn't do anything to mitigate the people who were in their house to prevent them from actually getting to the hospital. And so these are things that we still have to continue to be concerned about.
Hey, Bob, if they can't mitigate anything if they have no medical protocol to resolve anything. I mean, even if the people didn't get ill who are in the home, once people go back outside with no real measures and no way to resolve it, you still was going to probably get, mathematically, you're going to get people who are going to become infected because they have no way to stop it right now. I mean,
right. But what I'm talking about, there have been there are a lot of studies that, we've been talking about the vitamin C and D before anybody else was talking about it. Now you can go online. There's a ton of doctors and studies who have connected the vitamin D deficiency to this, and connected, vitamin D usage to better outcomes. And so my criticism is that there was enough information that the health department could have come up with this. I mean, there's no downside to telling people to take their vitamins. But we were on a call with them early on, and we asked, well, why is no one saying anything? And they were like, well, we're not saying not to, and it's like, that's not what we're looking for,
Who are you talking about, Bob? What entity are you talking about you're on a call with that was not responsive?
It was the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, our health department. Okay. Who, and to be fair, they've done a good job, but that doesn't mean that we don't criticize their missteps. The health commissioner in early February was telling people it wasn't going to be a problem here, and go celebrate Chinese New Year's. So I understand that mistakes can be made in this thing. I'm not saying that people have to be perfect. No one was perfect because we haven't seen this before. But my criticism is that there was information. This is a particular call, and the thing about this call is that they had asked us to send in questions in advance of the call, and I sent in questions. But when I sent in questions, I also sent in documentation of the studies that had been done. So I wasn't just, because I know with vitamins, and here's another topic that we, it's a parallel topic, is that I've noticed that there is a lot of censorship going on in social lately. It's like they've dialed it up, that if you are talking about certain topics, they just shut it down. And one of them was vitamins. Early on in this this crisis, I posted something about vitamin C on a Facebook page, and I got something back saying, you know, this is, you know, it's not verified science or something like that. And I'm like, well, where are you looking? Because, you know, there's plenty of reputable information about it.
Yeah, just to interject there. I agree with you on that. What I think though might be, I don't know, underlying is that is an economic interest that by publicizing those products, so saying, yeah, that vitamin C, 50, vitamin D, everybody's gonna run out and start buying it up. And I think, I mean, from what I've noticed going to the grocery stores, everything that has vitamin C in it has been being just stacked up. You know,
well,
as far
that
as like
definitely happened. I can verify that vitamins flew off the shelf because enough people knew about it. We were actually buying, you know, vitamins for some of our hen members. Just before the shutdown, I kind of realized what was going on, and I went and I scoured the landscape, and I got a bunch of vitamin C and D and made sure we distributed it to our members, so that they would have something, you know, so that if you're locked in the house and you've got nothing else, but at least you can boost your immune system with something that's very readily available. Exactly. And that's why, you know, and the other thing is that these things are available through food sources too. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's
just the one thing about my personal experience, like about 8 years ago, I had a really bad case of the flu. And I was like, I was messed up. I had to have people come and visit me and give me stuff. And then when I got past it, because I only had a flu injection like once in my life, and it's only because I had my kids and I wanted to just make sure that they didn't get it. But after that, I had that experience, I started taking garlic. I started eating garlic like every day, like come November all the way through February. I would eat garlic every day. And after that, I've never had a cold during the winter months. You know, so I do recommend garlic pills as a helping and building up your immune system. You know, but I just want.
Was that fresh garlic? Fresh garlic, Rolando? What form was it in?
I started out with fresh garlic, and then it started getting to me. So my stomach started, you know, not reacting too well to it. So then I started getting just garlic pills that you can buy over the counter. Yeah, and it really does work. I mean, it really does. I mean, I really do feel it does build up your immune system. So, but that plus the vitamin C plus the vitamin D. So yes, I agree with that.
Hey, Bob,
I would say that.
I just wanted to say this.
Go ahead.
Right, Stu?
No, I was just going to follow up. You know, Rolando had talked about the economic factor, and to me, the economic factor is that the folks that control the pharmaceutical and the healthcare industry are wedded to folks spending money on drugs, whether it be prescription or over the counter, and not on vitamins and supplements and healthy foods. And that is a disincentive to the information being out there. And that's why you don't have the experts that have certified that vitamins work or the healthy food works. And just back to Bob's point about suppressing information about some of these remedies.
I think you're 100% correct, Stu. The more I looked into it, the more I recognized that vitamins and nutrients like this are some of the biggest threats to the pharmaceutical industry, because the fact is that this is stuff that they figured out worked a long time ago. And it's almost like they're trying to like head fake us into forgetting those remedies in favor of the remedies of the drugs they develop, because when they develop these drugs, they develop patented, you know, they have intellectual property around it. Only one manufacturer can make it, and they can make billions of dollars and charge exorbitant prices, for, when there are these simple nutrients that are available, through many sources that can, do the same thing. And
It cannot be patented.
And cannot be patented. And but here's something even more disturbing. I talked to somebody last week who was giving me some information about how WHO have basically been pushing an agenda over a long period of time to get all of those foods we mentioned, whether it be garlic, turmeric, neem, all of these plants, to be scheduled so that they cannot be used except in a pharmaceutical capacity, meaning that you would have to get a prescription for turmeric, or I don't think they'll be able to get garlic. That's never going to fly. But things like neem, things like elderberry, things that are a little bit more off the beaten path, there seems to have been a long-term plan to turn those into things that have to be prescribed, and this kind of fits in with what we're seeing. I am in the midst of verifying it. It was some information I got last week from a very credible source. So I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper on that, and we can have that, as an ongoing discussion. I'll start to share some of the information that I have about that, but it certainly fits in terms of what I'm seeing in terms of even so, one of there's a doctor who I've been following since early on. Her name is Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and she has a website called foundmyfitness.com. Now, she's not a medical doctor, she's a PhD, but she's a voracious researcher. And so she does a lot of health-based podcasts around different things. She's smart, she's amazingly smart, and she is very thorough about talking only about things that have been verified by evidence-based studies. And so she's talked a lot about vitamin D, sulforaphane, and glutathione. And so the other day, my wife Marie shared her website in a private message with my cousin on Facebook, and got it shut down. All it was a link to her website. And if you go and see, and it's foundmyfitness.com, if you go to this site and you listen to her, there's nothing tinfoil hat about anything she does. She is very credible. She speaks at conferences all the time. She's been on a lot of different other podcasts, and for Facebook to not only censor her, but censor her automatically in a private message. It wasn't even in a news feed. It's a private message between one person and another, and they're censoring that. So I look at this as alarming, and
absolutely,
it's just something that we have to be concerned about. It underscores the importance of the efforts that we're doing to reach people with community-based trusted information, because quite frankly, part of the problem is that everything we're getting, big media, the food supply, everything we're getting is tainted. And it really underscores the need that we as a people really need to localize our control of all of the things that are most important to our survival: food, shelter, medicine, communications, power, the things that we've been talking about, everything. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Rolando, while we got you out there,
Well, what's going on out there? I mean, you've been cruising around there. What's happening? Where are you?
Right now I'm back on 139th Street. I'm in the Bronx. I just went past Harlem and all of that. I'm going and just getting some air in my tires here. But it's pretty much the same. It looks just like another Monday with no people, you know? Yeah. So, but
no, we don't know. That's why we asking you.
Same amount of people are out. Oh yeah, the same amount of people are out here than you know have been. It's not a lot of people out.
Are you seeing people with masks?
Yeah, the majority of them are wearing masks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna step out of the car right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing is shown: New Yorkers are adaptable. You know, when we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a drive
over
the weekend through I guess it was Friday or Saturday through the mid Bronx to drop off or pick up some devices from one of our team members. And driving through the streets, almost everyone had on a mask. And when I met with my guy who lived in the neighborhood, he said he remarked that just over the last several days, his brother Wally, just over the last several days that he noticed a change in the neighborhood where everyone was wearing masks, where just a few days prior, like a week ago, they were not as predominant. So I think there's been a shift.
Well, there could be another. The other factor that might be in there is that there have been a lot of mass distribution of masks, you know, in the last week or so. You know, that's occurred where people could go to different parks and get masks handed out for free. So that's been going on, and I think it's made a difference. You know, it's because for a while, remember how this whole thing went. And again, this is what I said. I don't fault necessarily our public officials for, you know, sometimes you have to change the message as new information comes in. So early on, there was a shortage of masks. And so they were telling people, don't buy the N95 masks because we need them for health officials. And they're still portraying the N95 mask as a medical mask. But the fact is that the N95 masks have been sold retail for years. My N95 mask, I've had it in my go bag. I got it after I got out of CERT, and I bought it in Duane Reade. So it's a little disingenuous to say that this is now a medical piece of equipment when it was sold at retail. But I understand the reasoning behind it because it is more necessary in the medical industry when they have a much higher risk of infection than the average person just going into Walmart, or, you know, we don't really have Walmart, but let's say Costco. But that being said, now that the N95 mask supplies have opened up, I still feel like if you want to fully protect yourself, get an N95 mask. And people are not saying that, but I'm saying that. I mean, I'm just saying that for myself. You know, the surgical masks protect other people from you primarily, but it doesn't necessarily give you the full protection if you're in an environment where it's still there. But it also, the fact that everybody is wearing masks helps everybody. So there's the general helping everybody, and that's part of the trick to the information that they give out during a pandemic. Because if you can get everybody to do something, then it helps everybody. But it doesn't necessarily give you the maximum protection for yourself. So you know, and I think people also have to think about, you know, yes, it's very good. Everybody should wear a mask. But if you want the maximum protection for yourself, you might want to get the N95 mask, but you also need to learn how to put it on and take it off properly, you know. And if you're going to reuse it because we can't get an endless supply of them, then you're going to have to learn how to disinfect it properly. So there's a
Let's do a tutorial on
responsibility
that,
that
Bob.
comes with what. Excuse me.
Bob,
I wish
tutorial on that.
Carol Johnson would. I would call for Carol Johnson to do that. I'm not the best.
Okay,
expert
let's
on
hook that up maybe for next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been disinfecting it with alcohol on a regular basis when I I have like 2 of them, so I alternate and I disinfect it with alcohol. I air it out with alcohol.
I think Stu's right.
That's
We
what
gotta
I'm
have I think we should have some sort of tutorial because I saw a tutorial where the people in the hospital, the medical workers, are putting their masks in paper bags, and each mask in a different paper bag to get the stuff to drop off it, and you leave it in the paper bag for 4 or 5 days and then take it out. So I would recommend that we get a.
That's definitely that's a good process. Because we know
well,
that
I don't know. I saw that, but I would like to compare. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I thought.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
I thought alcohol. I thought alcohol kills it on contact. Is that correct?
I don't disagree with anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a lot of ways to do it. I noticed. Yeah, there's more than one way to re-cleanse some of your masks, and I do know that even on my supermarket at the corner of where I live at, they sell N95 masks at the counter as soon as you go out.
Yeah, I think we should definitely look at that because I know that there are certain things about the N95 that you're not supposed to do, and that's why I don't want to jump out and say it because I haven't really fully versed myself. I've used the technique of putting it aside, and because I've only been going out, I don't go out every day, so and I have a couple of different masks, but I find one mask, every N95 mask doesn't fit the same way too, so there's a wide variety of differences between them. So we should probably maybe plan to do a tutorial on that. Absolutely. We did have a tutorial on is it safe? Yes. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll wait till you finish.
Oh, I was saying that last week we did a tutorial on how do you decide if it's safe to go outside. And we talked about some of those things, which is just, we also have to get in the habit of just going online and checking the numbers for ourselves so that we can see, because I think our biggest risk at this point in time is risk that we start to see flare-ups and reoccurrences as a result of people starting to come out. And so I try to check the numbers on the nyc.gov website fairly consistently. And you can go to nyc.gov/COVID-19. And then on that page, there's a link to COVID-19 data. And, on the COVID-19 data page, you can pretty much find, all the numbers as well as the link to the zip code maps. So, we recommend that people first of all, look at the zip code map to see what's going on in the area that they're in. And then also look at the overall city numbers to see what's going on with those, and use those factors to help us decide, on an individual basis, what you think the risk is for you being out there, because everyone's risk is a little bit different. If you've got, chronic illnesses or autoimmune deficiencies, or if you're of a certain age, of which most of us on this call are in that age category, then we have to we have to think about our risk being somewhat higher, Yeah, I hate to admit it, but it's true, and so, common sense will get you a lot further than just trying to be, heroic. I can beat. I'm not afraid of no coronavirus. We've seen how that plan has worked out west and down south. You know, some of those people who are out at the protesting the stay-at-home orders who have already contracted the virus, and some who've already passed. So, you know, it's like the virus does not respect protesters, and it definitely does not respect the White House.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been fortunate with this weather that it's been, you know, we've got just enough coolness and raininess that people haven't been compelled to just be outside.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bob, because I noticed last week when we got those gorgeous days that people were all over the place. And I think
absolutely, yeah,
kind of overreacted.
Right. And speaking of overreacting, we have to obviously talk about the police overreaction. You know, downtown.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Would you like a mask?
I just wanted to mention this, Bob.
How are you enjoying your day? Uptown. How can you be out here not social distancing? Let me throw you in jail where you cannot social distance.
Yeah, it's really pretty outrageous. I just wanted to mention one thing from our conversation of last week. The city does have a office of homeschooling and criteria. So those of you who are following from last week when we were talking about that, we didn't know that. I went and checked afterwards, and there is a office of homeschooling, and it is allowed here in New York City. So I just want to say that.
Oh, interesting.
With regard to the police thing, I also saw the video with the officer was throwing people down on the ground and sitting on their neck, put his knee on the guy's neck. And then they showed another video of the cops walking in the park where the white people were. And I'm saying that on purpose. And they were doing exactly what you said. They were asking the white people, do they need a mask? And telling them to social distance. And you looked at the black area where they were doing it with where there were people who were not white, and they were way more aggressive about the whole scenario. And in fact,
I think what they called that downtown. They call that concierge policing.
The facts. I just wanted to mention that they said out of the 300 and something summons they gave out, 81% of the summons were given out to blacks and Hispanics.
Yes.
For non-social justice thing. So the police force is, as always, policing one group and being sympathetic and simpatico with the other.
Right, and the other 19% were light skinned.
Well, I don't know. They had a guy on the ground. He was light skinned, and they didn't care. So I mean, and the funny thing is that the guy who was doing it was a Spanish guy. So he was, of course, overreacting, overperforming for his masters, as it were.
Right. Well, we've definitely seen that. You know,
a lot of that. Now, Rolando, where the hell are you now?
I'm looking for a parking space to get home. I'm like 162nd, east 162nd.
Oh, so you're in your neighborhood. I see no people out there either in your neighborhood.
Yeah, ain't nobody out. There's no parking either. So that's the hardest part.
Right.
Everybody's
home.
Yeah.
Some people have parking right in front of their home, I guess.
Not really. Not around here.
I don't know who those people might be. Oh, okay. I see that. I see all the cars are sitting in there. And there's nobody. You're right. Nobody's going outside. People are in their home. I guess because of the weather. I guess if it turns 90 degrees.
And they haven't.
People are going to come outside.
They've continued to extend the alternate side of the street parking. So once people are parked, they're not.
Not moving.
Yeah, they're just going. Yeah,
trying not to move. Right, going and hope that maybe put some cones out to keep the spot when they come.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, that don't work around here.
Nah, that
Yeah,
don't work.
right.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
You need the guy in the car with the codes. You can't have the codes by yourself. You need the
Right,
guy in the car
exactly.
that's sitting there.
Right.
When we're doing the shoot, and
This is
everybody know they're
like,
not working.
this is a genuine Con Ed cone. Why are they not respecting it? Well, you stole it. It's a Con Ed cone without a Con Ed truck. So
yeah, that's true. Where the hell is the truck? So I mean, you know, Bob, let me pose this question to the group. You know, how do you guys feel about the idea that they are attempting to get people to go back outside and they have no way to resolve any of the medical issues? I mean, generally, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean,
okay,
so the issue still comes around testing and contact tracing, which they are ramping up. It's better than it was. It still needs to be better, but they have opened up more testing, and it looks like they're continuing to bring more testing resources. And we're still, you know, every day, every week, they're learning more and more about the virus. So I think that around the testing, there's still an opportunity to stamp it out. And I think that they have to, you know, we and they have to keep an eye on the overall numbers and act accordingly. You know, there's got to be some sort of opening up at this point in time.
Let me interrupt you for a second, Bob. I just wanted to throw this out. The reason why I brought it up is because Pence, the vice president, is in quarantine. Dr. Anthony Fauci is in quarantine, and the head of the CDC is in quarantine. So, I mean, how much of a hope can it be if now all of those people are in quarantine? The vice president's in quarantine,
get
bro.
The memo. So the narrative has shifted. It was first of all, it's no longer a hoax. And second, he never actually said it was a hoax. That's the new narrative. That was Obama, the Democrats, and Hillary Clinton, you know, along with George Soros. He never said it was a hoax. All the videos saying he said it was a hoax were planted by the mainstream media.
The hoax, right?
So that's, I mean, but
he said that it was a hoax.
But it's not funny because that's how quickly they shift. I mean, look, my last white friend was a Trump guy. I had to cut him off in the middle of March because I said he said it was a hoax, and the dude went ballistic. He never said it. He never said it, and then started accusing. You know, then he started berating me, and I was like, all right. You know, I was trying to hold on to see if you could see the light of day, but I can see that the programming is too deep in your head, and I should just, I need to quarantine you from my timeline. So
let me say this, Bob. I had a conversation with someone who was a Trump guy, and we had an actually very interesting conversation, which I was quite surprised by. The person attempted, when I mentioned about the injection of the bleach, the person tried to tell me that it didn't happen, and I said to the person, listen, you could show me anything, and you're not going to change my mind. So let's skip past it. You're not going to change my mind about what he said. I saw it. I said, but I said, this is what I said to the person. I said, let me just say this to you. I'm not mad at you because you voted for him, because that's how shit works. You go in, you vote for whoever you like. It's okay. So as soon as I said that, he was a little disarmed. He said, oh, I said, I ain't mad at you about that. Then he said to me, the person said to me, he said, well, why do they keep, he said, they keep everything that he does. I said, people pick at you when they don't like you. I said, and people don't like him. I said, and that's allowed. It's allowed not to like, just like it's allowed that people like. And he said, oh, well, how's that? I said, he's not going to keep quiet, and people are not going to stop not liking him because there's been too much that has been done. So the person said to me, he said, well, man, maybe you should keep quiet. I said, I don't think he can do it. He can't keep quiet.
It's
And
literally
so this
impossible.
is why we have this situation. It's impossible. And we actually had a civil conversation. That's the point I'm making, Bob. We actually had a civil conversation.
I saw something yesterday. I did not verify it because verifying would make me have to look at his tweets. But someone posted something or some site that he had over 100 tweets yesterday on Mother's Day. Like, really? That's all you have to do? 100 tweets. That's that's a lot of tweets. That's, what is that, like 4
Bob,
tweets an hour?
Bob, let's be real, Bob. He's having a difficult time trying to address what's going on. It's impossible for him to do. He can't talk around it. And it's pretty obvious that he's a liar and everybody knows it. And you can't talk around things. And when people try to, what I've found is that when you find people who are his supporters, if you don't try to convert them, you can have a better conversation with them. Because they want to prove that he didn't say whatever he said and all this. Once you just tell them, listen, you voted for him, I'm not mad at you, that's good. That don't make anything wrong with you because you voted for him. You know what I mean? Once they see that, they go, oh, right, no. But let's just talk about whether or not, why, if you want to know why I don't like him, I would be happy to tell you. Because most people, when they don't like somebody, they're itching to tell whoever why they don't like them. And if you notice, a lot of the conversation is never around why people don't like him. It's always them trying to defend whatever he's doing because they don't like the fact that he's getting called out. And which is the point that I made to this other young brother, was that he's getting called out because people don't like him. And if you want to know why people don't like him, they'll be happy to tell you. You guys never ask that. When you listen to Fox News, they never talk about why people don't like him. They're busy trying to explain why he's okay. And you're not going to get anywhere when that happens. You were saying,
excuse me, guys, I gotta sign off. I just want to say thank you for the conversation this morning. It's been really good.
Okay.
I will check back with you guys later.
Okay, Stu.
Okay, Stu.
Stay safe. Well, yeah, I hear everything you're saying, Doug. Now, here's the thing about, I believe you can like somebody or not like them, but also evaluate their performance. I personally don't really like Andrew Cuomo that much, but with regard to his performance in this pandemic, it's been pretty good, and I have to say that, and I can still not like him, but respect the fact that he did the things that needed to be done, and I believe that he saved many lives. I would agree with that. I don't give him a blanket pass on things, but I believe that he took action just before this thing had a chance to get a lot worse, and I also feel like he's been pretty transparent about what are the challenges that he's facing from his vantage point. And I think that's helped keep people calm. New York has been surprisingly calm during all of this, and it didn't necessarily have to be that way. I think about a couple of mistakes that de Blasio was about to make that Cuomo corrected, and one of them was when de Blasio was talking about locking down the city, and Cuomo came out and shut that down. We're not going to lock down the city. And the reason why that was so important was that as soon as you tell people you're going to lock down the city, a certain percentage of them are going to do what? I got to get out of the city. I don't want to be locked down, and
happened.
And by not locking down the city, it kept people calm and got people to buy into sheltering where they are. because if everybody went en masse to leave the city, there was going to be even more infection because everybody's coming out and everybody's moving around, and the virus is already out and moving around. And all people are going to do is take the virus and take it other places. And that would have been a nightmare. So, you know, I thought that Cuomo thought through his choices very, very clearly and made good decisions along the way. Now, it doesn't give him a pass for, you know, being Cuomo and doing other things that are non-related to the pandemic response to you know, kind of consolidate his power. But
he hasn't exactly been a friend, an ombudsman for regular people. He has been a pretty good.
No, not at all. But
yeah.
but
for the disease, I would say yes.
Yeah, yes. For the overall health and safety of New Yorkers, he's done a pretty good job. He's not the super saint that the rest of the country wants to now have him run for president. I don't want to see him run for president. Didn't want to see him run before. And he evidently felt like he wasn't going to run for president because he had an opportunity to throw his hat in the ring. De Blasio did and got his face bloodied. You know, Cuomo knew better.
He had nothing to lose. I see why de Blasio did it. Politically, he had nothing to lose. I can see why de Blasio would do it as opposed to the governor, you know, the politics.
Yeah, even though he had nothing to lose, he had no shot. And I feel like when people make moves like that, they don't have good advice around. You know, I blame the first. Yeah.
Bob, the key word there is whether you care or not, do you have a shot? Because I think you're right. You didn't have a shot, but you have to care about whether you have no shot or not. Because people get out in boxing matches and sport events and go up against other people where they have no chance, and they do it anyway. And you go, what the hell was that? So I think he didn't care. I mean, that's the only thing that makes any rational sense. That he just didn't care about whether he lost or not. He thought and I thought he did it because of a booty checker and the fact that if a small town mayor could do it, then, you know, I should be able to do it. And that made logical sense to me, that he was maybe having a little mayor envy.
Well, yeah, but that's not a rational assessment. That's just like, you know, well, he can do it. Well, and you know, he didn't get that far either. You know, I mean,
he didn't. He didn't. So it was a mood exercise for both of them as it turned out. But I was very interested when I found out that they were I'm shooting back to Pence and them, because I think this is a big event, when they called it a soft quarantine. And I said to myself, what the hell is that? What the hell is a soft quarantine? You know what I mean?
Obviously, it's not a quarantine at all. It's like I'm gonna be at home. I'm gonna be at home a little bit more, but I'm gonna come and go as I please, and I'm not wearing masks. And you see the arrogance, you know, for him. You know, Pence goes to where was it, the Mayo Clinic or something like that? Doesn't wear a mask.
He's quarantined now, though, Bob. He's quarantined now.
Yeah.
Even though he's calling it a soft quarantine, something happened somewhere.
Well,
so I'm thinking
White
that
House
politically,
is obviously a hot spot now.
Thank you. I'm thinking that
service agents and you know underlings who already have it, but these underlings have been all up on the president and the vice president, and now they're testing the president every day, even though nobody else can get tested, but he needs it every day. So
him and Pence both were getting tested every day.
Right.
Him and Pence both. And
I hope they're giving them the difficult way up your nose test, you know, the one that
Bob, you're so sympathetic. You are so sympathetic.
Right up there, man. I mean, if I was the tester, oh man. I get to do the test, I would come in with super PPE'd up, you know, like I look like Iron Man, right? It's like, I'm here for your test, Mr. Pence.
Your sympathy is over. Excuse me, Robert.
We want to make sure that your test is accurate. Thank you.
First, I know you remember when they had 911, when all of a sudden General Haig thought for a good hour or so. He said that he
I'm
was
in
in
charge
command of.
now. Yes, yes.
Well, I've been thinking that if him and both now that Pence is quarantined, if Trump becomes quarantined, then the mantle would fall to Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi, yeah. And that's why they're in a soft quarantine. Because
That's
I
exactly why they're in this.
guarantee you that they are. But I mean, the other thing is a quarantine doesn't actually affect your ability to perform your duties, especially
Oh,
now
I
that
beg to
everything is-
differ. I beg to differ. I'm sure people would beg to differ with that, Bob, even though you're right. I'm sure there were some people who be trying to make the case that quarantine means incapacitated.
Yeah,
I'm sure of that.
I'm yeah, I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not a constitutional scholar. Better minds than this could debate this, but I get that there's an argument for it. But I think that it becomes more of an argument if they actually come down with it. Then I think we might see the succession thing start to have make an issue.
That would royal the Republican land.
I mean, could you imagine if both of them came down with it and both of them passed, and Nancy Pelosi became the president before the election?
Well, that would indicate, Bob, in some people's minds, that there is a higher power.
Yes, but in other people's minds, it would be the deep state, and we would probably see some of the crazies come out with.
Hey, Bob. Hey, listen, Bob. As one who has spent some time in the penal system, I would have to say.
Wait. That's penal system, not penile system.
Yes. Excuse me. I stand corrected.
Now,
I stand corrected.
If there's something else you want to admit here on the live stream, that's up to you.
I stand corrected. Thank you so much, Bob, for that English correction. But I would say that if something like that would happen, I would have a lot of confidence in the National Guard, the armed forces, to eradicate all sorts of criminal activity. They seem to be pretty good at that. And I can recall something like Waco and some of these other places where they actually, in Philadelphia, where they actually came in and did things when there was the kind of unrest. So I have no fear or any doubt or any compunction that they would be able to quell any sort of thing that came up if they chose to.
Mm-hmm.
If they chose. I don't know, if they choose to or not, but I know they could. I mean, I would agree with you. There would be some sort of talk. But, listen, when you have a country where people are allowed to say and do whatever they like, then up to some degree, then you're going to have, disagreements and all that. But, the common thing that we all have here in this particular case is that the virus is real. So that's the common element that we have. And cooler forces would have to help. And I think that the fact that Dr. Fauci is in a soft quarantine says everything you need to know about the virus and preparation. If it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. Those are some of the most protected people in our country, and they've caught it.
Right.
And they have some sort of, the virus has somehow invaded their territory. Let me put it that way. So now people may think that that's a hoax and all that, but I don't know if Pence and them are in there in quarantine because of a hoax.
Right. Pence and those folks getting it is like, okay, doesn't look like a hoax right now. So
so maybe we'll get medication.
But part of that problem has been, as we said earlier, Trump's lust for attention and publicity. He loves the rallies. All this other stuff about presidenting, he don't like it. It's way too many meetings and way too many responsibilities. But he loves the rallies. He loves going out and having people cheer his name. He's loved that part of it since the beginning, when he was able to, drop in with his Trump helicopter when he was still running, and now with the Air Force One. you know, and people are cheering him. That's his addiction, and he's let his addiction get him all messed up, you know, because
Well, you know, that's
keeps saying things like he's trying to wish, like he really thinks like he's powerful enough to wish the virus away. And the virus is like, do you know who I am?
yeah, not gonna be able to do it.
Virus is looking at him like, no, I don't really think you know who I am.
Well,
Let
you
me
know,
show you.
well, Bob, you know, in deference to the notion that you know, people have a right to say and do what they want, I will make a note that because of the lockdown, there hasn't been any mass shootings since February, and because of one of the benefits of the lockdowns that we have not had any of these kind of mass shootings that we've had. So that's been. And I think the fact that, you know, the president and his administration have continued to not lead and basically lie a lot and demonstrate that they don't have any sympathy or empathy for most of the people in the country. And his rallies also point out that he has not, for some reason, realized that there are more people in the country than just the people who voted for him. And I'm sure that was not wasted on Obama, because a lot of people didn't like him and they protest. There was great protest about him as well. But he still acted like and conducted himself, much to a lot of people's chagrin, like he was the president for everyone.
Right, exactly. And he took it from all sides. There were black people who said he didn't do enough for black people.
That's correct.
White people were saying he did too much for black people.
And white people said that he was the devil incarnate. He was Hitler. I've seen pictures of him where they had little Hitler mustaches on him. So the people are doesn't like the president. That's American. Yes. That's American. That's how America works. That's how this stuff works around here. And so, but now when you have something like this, people don't expect you to lie. They expect you to be as honest. And if you can't help yourself, you shut the fuck up and let somebody who actually is capable of telling the truth go out and give people the hard news. Because that's what people want. They want the hard facts. That's what they want.
I think in a modern society, people tolerate a certain amount of duplicity, we'll call it, from the president and from government. And maybe there's certain things that we don't need to know, but there is an implicit expectation of trust that the president and the government is there to create a protection for everybody who is considered an American citizen. After you go beyond that, now it gets fuzzy. So, you know, we'll leave aside the whole thing on immigrants. That's a whole nother topic. But the narrative has always been that if you're an American citizen, you're born with these inalienable rights of life, liberties, the pursuit of happiness, blah, blah, blah. And there's a certain amount of trust that the government will at least do the right thing in these specific areas of protecting the people. And now that trust has been eviscerated, not only here at home, but globally. People look for America to take the lead and things like this. Well, with American resources and ingenuity and, you know, and this whole narrative about American exceptionalism has just gone down the drain because it just doesn't exist anymore.
He's done much,
but it only exists in the narrative that we still get in the media, because no one talks about, for example, Cuban exceptionalism in the medical field. You know, Cuban doctors have been to 25 or 30 different countries with their solutions for COVID-19, and every time they get there, they're hailed as heroes. That used to be, you know, the American Doctors Without Borders going around. It's the Cuban doctors that are going around because they actually have answers. It's not only that they, you know, and I think we have plenty of doctors who are committed to healing, but they're also hamstrung by this particular medical, you know, setup that we have here that is driven by the pharmaceuticals and the insurance companies. You know, but in particularly the pharmaceuticals, because everything in this health system is biased toward pharmaceutical based medicine and extracting the highest amount of money as possible for treatments, regardless of people's ability to pay. And that has caused probably as much of the problems as anything. And no one is also holding our medical system accountable for not being prepared. We understand some of the reasons why the government is not prepared, but there is no reason why there was a shortage of masks and PPE and ventilators in these private hospitals. Everybody knew about.
Bob, I just want to say this, Bob. I just want to interject this. When you interject the tenets of capitalism, scarcity is king. And so you would understand why those things would be scarce, because capitalism works by scarcity, and the person who has the scarcity.
Well, okay, yeah, in general, that's true.
In general, I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about in general.
Okay, but let me go forward here and give you a parallel. You know, you talk about airlines, and you saw what happened with Boeing, and Boeing is taking a beating because they did not pay attention to the safety of their planes, and it came back to bite them. You know, there's still an expectation of safety and just the warranty of you know, the quality of your product. You know, that you know, we have that expectation, is that, you know, we're getting on your plane, that your plane is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be able to take me from my, from where I am to my destination, go up and down and come back down, and I'm supposed to have a safe ride, and I'm supposed to be in a safe environment. Same way, medical system, there are certain things that we expect from them in terms of looking after our safety. And if we already know that the industry has discussed the pandemic, discussed in great detail what the risks are, and if they did not act on those risks, there's a culpability. It's like when if a chemical company does a study and they find out that their product poisons people, if they don't correct that, there is a liability and culpability. And so I feel like there's the same kind of liability and culpability in the medical industry, where we know without a shadow of a doubt that the risks of a coronavirus in particular were discussed, and all of the risks, including running out of PPE, including the shutdown of the economy, shutdown of travel, all these things were discussed. And if private industry didn't do anything to at least prepare for it, which it seems like that's what happened here, then there's a certain amount of liability that can be directed toward them.
Save for Bob, and I will one other interjection. Remember, they have figured out how to give people dispensations based upon their law. Like the gun people, you can't sue them. You can't sue any of the gun manufacturers. So
you know who else you can't sue? You know who else you can't sue?
Police.
The vaccine manufacturers.
Or the police.
Yeah. So
they have figured out how to hold harmless those who can create some of the greatest harm to the society. They figured out how to change the rules so that those groups are held harmless. And I think that some of the things that going forward that has to happen, they have to, again, make these corporations be accountable. Because I'm just going to say one last thing about that. The idea that they would give the money to the middle person, to the corporations, and bail out, the airlines and the crews, to bail them out and not think about bailing out the people. They had to take the money and gave it directly to the people, then they can still shelter at home. You can still be sheltered at home because people, like the other countries around the world, they pay people salaries as opposed to giving the money to the corporation. What do they need to give the money to the middleman for? They know how to
Right.
hand money over to directly to people. They did it with the stimulus
Yep.
stuff. I believe they should have given the money to everyone and bailed out the people and not bailed out these corporations that are not going to be able to come back. They're more concerned about the corporations than the people. And I think if it's going to be anything that comes about from this, people should be very cognizant that they should have people in charge of the government who care about the people, not just the people who voted for them, but all of the people in the land. I think that should be a mandatory takeaway that we should all get from this, from looking at what happened, is how they've figured out how to come up with $2 billion at the drop, $2 trillion at the drop of a hat, and then decided to give it out to various intermediaries instead of putting the medication where it belongs, and that's with the people. So I think there's been a lot of dereliction. I don't know if that's a real word, but
yeah, it is.
it is. Okay, there's been a lot of that, because I'm not gonna try to say it twice. There's been a lot of that going on, and they should actually, moving forward, I think they should give the guaranteed income to everyone, irrespective of your job, irrespective of your financial position. They should give everyone. The people that don't need it, they can say, I don't want it. And that would be beautiful. But they should give a stipend or income to everybody, and they should give it to everybody. This is just my crack part of opinion, Bob. They should give it to everybody for being a partner in the country. So each citizen should be looked at as a partner, and they should be given a dispensation of money every month, and they should give it to everybody.
Doug Frazier for president.
No. No, that's, hey, Bob, a good idea is a good idea. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
anyway,
true.
Bob, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But on that note, Bob, if you got anything to wrap it up to, because I'm gonna wrap up.
Yes, I want to just give a commercial that we are doing Harlem Emergency Network. We do a live stream every Wednesday morning at 9:30. You can find us at facebook.com/Harlem Emergency Network. And we'll also be live streaming on our YouTube channel, also 9:30 on Wednesdays. And, we've been inspired by what you guys are doing, and we'll be doing that. And Carol Johnson will be on that one, who I think is the most prepared person in Harlem. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share information and ideas. And we got to stay on this thing and stay safe, everybody.
Okay, Bob. Thank you, Bob. And we'll see everybody next week. And remember, if you tune in next week over this network, just might learn something. So see you later, everybody.
All right.
All stations. The time is now 0900 hours. This is the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. The message for the day is as follows. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. The temperature at this time is 53 degrees, and we are expecting a high of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. The day is cloudy and rainy. A reminder for our weekly conference call will be tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th, at 2100 hours. Call the landline if you need the number. Amateur radio class will take place on Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, from 1800 to 2000 hours. The platform that we will be using will, that information will be forthcoming. This is the Harlem Emergency Network. The time is now 0901. Network control standing by.
This is Unit 5 calling network control for radio check. Unit 5 calling network control for radio check. This is Unit 5 calling any unit for radio check. Calling any unit for radio check. King? This is Unit 5 calling any radio for radio check. Calling any radio for radio check. King?
Network control, concern 1, over. Network control, concern 1, over. Network control to any unit, over.
This is Unit 5 to network control to Zone 1. This is Unit 5 Zone 1. I read you loud and clear. How you read me?
Unit 5, network control reads you loud and clear. I don't know what's happening with the network control on the Zello, so I will take it until I find out. Over.
Acting network control. I don't know what happened to my Zello, but we went out for a little bit, but I am back on. So I'm asking permission to take back over network control. Over.
1, turn 1 turns over the network control back to you. How do you read network, Zone 1, over?
Zone 1, I read you loud and clear. How do you read network control? Over.
Zone 1 reads network control loud and clear. So this is Zone 1 standing by. I'm also standing by on the radio as network control on the radio. Over.
Zone 1, network control sent out a message early around 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:05 this morning, stating that network control is having difficulty getting on Zello. So I've been having difficulty all day. This is network control standing by to the 1000 hour. Over.
Zone 1 standing by.
This is network control calling to.
This is Unit 5 calling network control for radio check. Unit 5 calling network control for radio check. Okay?
Unit 5, it was you I was trying to call. Thank you so much for having my back when I was having problems. Thank you. Unit 5, this is network control. I read you 5 by 5. How do you read network control? Over.
I read you 5 by 5. My present location is 122 between Adam Clayton Powell and Frederick Douglass Boulevards. My situation is normal. Okay?
The location is 122nd Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Frederick Douglass Boulevard, and the situation is normal. Did you hear the message of the day? Over.
I did hear the message of the day. NCO, I did hear the message of the day. Over.
Thank you for that. This is NCO standing by to the 1000th hour.
This is Hen 2. This is Hen 2 calling for a radio check. How do you read me?
Hey, 2, this is NCO. I read you 5 by 5. What is your location and your status? Over.
My location is Typin Street and 10th Avenue. My status is safe.
Your location is Dykeman Street and 10th Avenue, and your status is safe. Network control is hoping that you are feeling better. Did you hear the message of the day? Over.
Please give it to me again. I missed part of it.
And 2, the message of the day will be repeated in less than 1 minute. Please stand by. This is NCO standing by to the 1000th hour.
Network control, this is Sun 1. Can I get permission to speak to Hen 2? Over.
So when you have permission to speak to him, 2, over.
Hen 2, this is Sun 1. Can I, over.
I hear you loud and clear.
Hen 2, could you check your text message and respond to me? Over. This is Sun 1, stand by.
Will do.
Network control, Sun 1 turns control back over to network control.
Thank you, Sun 1. This is the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. This is the message of the day. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020, and the time is 0931 hours. The temperature at this time is 53 degrees with an expected high of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Today is cloudy and rainy. A reminder for our weekly conference call tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th at 2100 hours. Call the landline if you need the number. Our amateur radio class will be Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, from 1800 to 2000 hours. Please stand by for more information on the platform for that class. This is network control. The time is now 0932 hours, and network control is standing by. This the message of the day will be repeated one more time at the 1000th hour. Standing by.
WEBT Unit 2 calling network control for a radio check. Okay.
EBT, this is network control. I read you loud and clear, 5 by 5. How do you read network control? Over.
WEBT Unit 2 reads network control loud and clear, 5 by 5. Over.
EBT, what is your location and your status? Over.
WEBT Unit 2 location, New Rochelle, New York. My status safe and sound. Over.
EBT2, your location is New Rochelle, New York, and your status is safe and sound. WEBT2, did you hear the announcement, the message for today? Over.
WEBT Unit 2, I did not hear the announcement for today. Will it be repeated? Over.
Yes, that message will be repeated for the last time at 1000 hours. This is network control, standing by.
That's a good copy. WEBT Unit 2 out.
This is Hen 1 calling for a radio check. Over.
Hen 1, this is NCA. I read you loud and clear. How do you read NCO? Over.
NCO, I read you loud and clear. I'm glad you were able to get on Zello. Over.
Thank you so much, NCO. I appreciate the fact that you did get my information that I was having difficulty. NCO, can you tell me your location and your status? Over.
My location is 133rd and 7th. My status is normal. Over.
Your location is 133rd and 7th Avenue, and your status is normal. Did you hear the daily message? Over.
No, but I will wait till 1000 hours when you're going to give it once more. Over.
Thank you. This is NCO standing by. All stations. This is the Harlem Information and Emergency Network. The message for the day is as follows. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. The time is 10:02 hours. The temperature at this time has gone down to 51 degrees, and we are expecting a high of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. It is cloudy, and we expect rain. A reminder for our weekly conference call tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Call the landline if you need the number. Our amateur radio class will be Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, from 1800 to 2000 hours. Further information as to the platform that we will be using will be forthcoming. This is the end of the message for the day. The time is now 10:03 hours, and this is network control standing by. Units, this is network control. Harlem Information and Emergency Network is now going offline. This is the 1 signing offline at 10:04 hours. Units, the 1 out. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, this is the emergency broadcast team, WEBT broadcast team, concluding its broadcast of the Harlem Information and Emergency Network radio check and after action report. This is WEBT, over and out.